We all have our own story of how we caught the virus. Oh no, not that virus. I'm talking about coaster enthusiasm. In case you're not aware, well, I'm pretty sure all of you know what a coaster enthusiast is, but if you don't, we're basically a bunch of individuals that have strange fetishes for roller coasters. It's pretty self-explanatory. My name is Augie, and I'm one of those individuals, so here's my story on how I became a roller coaster enthusiast. This is video 1 of what will be my 6-part 1000 subs special. And oh yeah, I have to say thank you so much for 1000 subs. When I first started this channel, I thought it was going nowhere. I would just upload maybe a few videos, no one would watch them, and I would move on with my life. But no, you guys have supported me for almost 2 years. Wow, I cannot believe it's been almost 2 years. I really appreciate you guys. So anyways, let's get on to the video. To start it, let's go all the way back to 2008. YouTube looked like this, and as long as you had that touchy touch phone that you couldn't even change the wallpaper on, you were the hippest kid in his house. This was also the year that I rode my first coaster. They were both of course kiddie coasters and were located at my local fair, the Great Frederick Fair. The first was a dragon wagon called Iron Dragon. The second a wacky worm called Wacky Worm. I don't remember my first experiences all that well because I was 3 years old, but I know I enjoyed it. The following year, 2009, I hit that 42-inch mark, so I was able to get on the bigger coaster at the fair, a Zero flitzer called Indy 500. This would have been my first non-kiddie coaster. Again, I have no major memories, but I do remember a bit more, and I remember lapping it over and over again. 2010 saw me take that same trip to the fair, but also the real first step towards coaster enthusiasm. A bunch of family friends had been to this place called Cedar Point a number of times, and talked about it like it was the second coming of the Messiah. So I hopped on the old interwebs and started looking at the website for Cedar Point and point of view videos of the coasters. I honestly probably did this every single day. Yeah, my days back then pretty much only consisted of watching TV, looking at the Cedar Point website, and scrolling through the Netflix website looking for movies I wanted mailed to our house, then asking my parents and them saying that we already had too many movies out. Good times, but now I'm getting too far off track. You might think that I would just start watching more and more coaster videos from here, and that's how I would get into coasters, but no, eventually I just kind of stopped visiting the Cedar Point website, but that didn't mean that I still didn't like coasters. In 2011, we took one of 2 trips I had been on so far that was solely dedicated to theme parks. This was of course to go to Orlando for Walt Disney World. I got to ride rides like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Expedition Everest, and OG Test Track, but I still definitely wasn't an enthusiast. 2012 was the year that I visited my first major thrill park. Since I was born in 2005, but my birthday is in September and this was in April, I was 6 years old at the time, but I was a tall 6-year-old, and I just reached that 48-inch mark. That meant that at Hershey Park, I was able to get on the likes of Lightning Racer, Wildcat, and Comet, my first wooden coasters, Storm Runner, my first launch coaster. Yeah, I know, second fastest accelerating coaster in North America at the time as my first launch coaster. It sounds kinda crazy, but it really wasn't because I was never afraid of coasters. I think that's just because I'd been exposed to them at such a young age. I was just kinda used to them. Some of the other coasters I got to ride were Trailblazer, Super Duper Looper, Sidewinder, and Wild Mouse, my first Wild Mouse. Believe it or not, my favorite of the coasters I rode was actually Sidewinder, maybe the reason why I'm so empathetic towards boomerangs even to this day. I still was not an enthusiast yet, so I had no idea that these things were everywhere. It had some cool inversions, it went backwards, I thought it was cool. After that Hershey visit, I was truly hooked on coasters, but still not an enthusiast. In 2013, I again went to Hershey Park and my local fair, but this time they had a spinning Wild Mouse at my fair, so I got to experience my first spinning coaster. Aside from that, it was a pretty uneventful year. 2014 saw me take another trip to Hershey Park, but now I had hit the 54-inch mark, so I was able to ride rides like Fahrenheit and Great Bear, which have become my new favorite roller coaster. Now you might be confused because you're sure that Skyrush has a 54-inch height requirement. Why didn't you ride that? Well, actually, I have not ridden Skyrush yet to this day because it was down all day during my 2014 and 15 visits, and it was down most of the day during my 2016 visit, but then it opened up. I was gonna go ride it after riding Laugh Track for the first time, but for whatever reason, Laugh Track ended up having a 2.5-hour line, and the park was closed by the time we were done. I haven't been back to the park yet, so hopefully I'll get to ride it in 2021. But back to 2014, I still was not an enthusiast, but I loved riding new coasters. At the fair that year, they had a Zero flitzer, which was actually not the same model as the one that was there before. You can see on the website of Wreath Off for Shows, who provides the coasters, that they're actually 2 separate models. So I have 2 different credits of the same model of coaster, but at the same fairground. Skipping 2015 and moving on to 2016, This was the year that I took my second ever theme park based trip, once again to Orlando. This time we not only went to Disney where I got new credits on Space Mountain and Barnstormer, but we also went to Universal Orlando Resort, and this just took my love of coasters to another level. I got on Woody Woodpecker's Knot House coaster, Hungarian Horntail, Charlie Train Ride, and Incredible Hulk, which became my new #1 coaster. There was also Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, which is the only coaster that has ever truly scared me. Look, I know Rip Ride Rocket gets a bad rap, but I was still GP at the time. That structure was truly massive with that insane vertical lift, and I remember just visibly shaking standing in front of it. I got on though, I loved the ride. I probably rode it 10 or 15 times that day because this was in November when no one was at the park. At this point, I wanted to get on new coasters wherever I could. So in 2017, when my parents said that I could pick one thing to do when we took our trip to visit family in Wisconsin, I chose to venture over to Minnesota to go to Nickelodeon Universe. Why didn't I go to Valley Fair? I don't know, but I still had a blast at Nickelodeon. Got on the likes of Avatar Airbender, Fairly Odd Coaster, Pepsi Orange Streak, and SpongeBob SquarePants Rock Bottom Plunge. I thought it was a little rough, but my favorite of the bunch was still SpongeBob, of course. Once again though, I still was not a true enthusiast, but my love for coasters was growing. But in 2018 was the moment I waited for ever since I found out about the place back in 2010. 2018 was the year that I made my trip out to Cedar Point. A few months before we actually went, I was told that we were going there, so I was back at it, checking out the Cedar Point website every day, finding out as much information about the place as I could possibly take in. I found out about new rides such as Gatekeeper, Rougarou, Valraven, and what would soon be my #1 coaster to this day, Steel Vengeance. We went on the trip and I couldn't have wished for better conditions. It was supposed to rain both days, and if you know Cedar Point, you know that they close coasters with even a drop of rain, but the rain never really came. Most all the coasters other than the big four were walk-ons, and this was in late July. I somehow, someway got a 2018 Steel Vengeance summer night ride with a 15-minute wait, then ran around to Magnum and Top Thrill Dragster to find them walk-ons. Right after this was really where I became a true roller coaster enthusiast. I remember it quite well. I was sitting at my grandparents' house a few days after that Cedar Point trip, and I was sitting on their couch watching YouTube. A video popped up in my recommended, and it was from some dude called Theme Park Crazy. It was the former coasters of Cedar Point. I watched that, loved the video, and I see another. Top 10 coasters at Hershey Park. I watched that video, I love it, so I watched more and more videos. Soon, I found Coaster Studios and Canada Coaster Fan, and probably within a week of that Cedar Point trip, I'm a full-blown roller coaster enthusiast. It's kinda anticlimactic that I've been building up my love of coasters all this time just to become an actual enthusiast within a week, but that's what happened. The first coaster that I rode as an enthusiast came about a month and a half after that, actually on my birthday funny enough. It was a Pinfari Cyclone at my local fair called Rampage Coaster, and well, there's not much to say, it was okay, nothing special. Basically from then on I learned more and more about coasters until now when I can confidently call myself not just a coaster enthusiast, but a coaster nerd. A lot of the stuff I've learned has come through research and making videos, and on January 2019 was when I created my channel. My first video was ranking all the coasters at Cedar Point, and for a first video I actually think it's decent. My first voiceover videos on the other hand, oh boy.
Starflyer. This will be a nice big ride in a park that lacks them. Plus, Six Flags just bought this park, so I think they're going to make a few investments to make it guard up a little bit. Also, the other new park, Darien Lake, that one.
But in 2019, I was able to make it to Six Flags America for the first time. Yes, I know it's my home park, and technically has been since I was born, but I didn't visit until 2019. Don't ask me why, because I don't have an answer. Along with that, I got to Family Kingdom, Six Flags St. Louis, and Six Flags Great America. 12 of the coasters in my top 25 I rode in 2019, and I'm hoping to possibly top that in 2021 after a disappointing 2020. In 2020, I only got 2 credits, and they were both from Adventure Park USA. I didn't go to any major parks because of very high-risk people in my immediate family, but in 2021, I'm hoping to maybe get to Kennywood, Lakemont, Hershey, Great Adventure, maybe King's Dominion, maybe Valley Fair, and maybe Little America. So that has been my journey in coaster enthusiasm. Make sure to let me know a brief little story about how you became a coaster enthusiast down in the comments. I love reading each and every comment, it's one of my favorite parts of this channel. But anyways, remember to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. I like to make all sorts of stuff like coaster countdowns, comedic coaster videos, and much more, so if you're into that sort of stuff, you might like this channel. So that'll wrap it up. I hope y'all have a great day. Remember to leave any suggestions, thoughts, or video ideas in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.